BenClark.com. I am Banjo Ben, your host here on the website to teach you how to play mandolin and banjo. This week is Guitar Week. Folks, we're going to do much more than learn just a couple simple solos to O Susanna. O Susanna is just the medium that I'm using today to teach you how to find harmonies. And then ultimately, I'm going to teach you how to use that to find and build licks. Huge lesson today, as they all are. You know, every week I think that the lesson I teach is the most important lesson I've ever taught. But that's fine. That's what makes it fun. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, here in a moment I'll ask you to come over to the website, BanjoBenClark.com. You can join as a Gold Pit member. You can view this 20+ minute video, download all the rhythm tracks to it, download the tabs to it, as well as hundreds of other lessons I have. So let's jump in and talk about why it's important to know what our chords look like on the neck and how we can use that to find harmonies and eventually apply that to build licks. Hey guys, we're learning much more than just a couple simple dimple versions of O Susanna today. What I want to teach you today is about guitar harmony and how to find that guitar harmony and use it to your advantage whenever you're playing solos. You know, a lot of times we hear people play licks. Tony Rice is an easy example to use, but you'll hear him play licks like where he's playing more than one string at once, something like that. Well, you know, whenever he's playing those licks, he's using the same principle that we're going to learn today, and that's how to find harmonies of melody notes, okay? You know, whenever you play any song on the guitar, there's a couple things you really need to know. One is what chords go to the song, right? So today we're doing O Susanna, and this just has 3 chords. It's got the regular G chord. It goes to a D chord, or you might use a D7, and it's got a C chord as well. So that's the first thing we need to know. But another thing that I'm going to encourage you to be aware of, and what we're going to work on today, at least with these 3 chords, is to figure out other ways to present those notes in the chord. Okay, for example, let's say we have a G chord. It goes like this. Well, there's several different ways to play a G chord, right? I could play that 3-finger chord. I could play a 4-finger chord. I could come up here and play a bar chord. I could come right here and play an F chord, just moved up 2 frets. And I could come way up here and play a D chord that is a G chord. And each one of those different shapes just presents to you a different combination of the 3 notes that are in a G major chord, G, B, and D. So whenever I'm thinking about finding harmonies and I'm in the key of G and playing over a G chord, I need to know where each of those triad notes are on my guitar. So a really good way to figure that out is just to, know all the notes that you play whenever you play the chord. But there's also other ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw this first line of tab up there and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. In measure 2, we have just our regular 3-finger G chord starting down there on the low E string. 3, 2, open, 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 3. But you could also, that B string right there, that B note, you could play that on the 4th fret of the G string, right? Same note. So we need to know that. We just do, because there'll be times where we might want to get a B note to harmonize, but something else is being played on that B string, so we know we need to grab it there. Also, you'll know that probably most of the time I play a G chord, I play this 3-finger fat Bluegrass G chord, right? Where I play 3rd fret, I mute the A string, and then I put my ring finger down on this 3rd fret here. See, that's a D note, 3rd fret on the 2nd string. Okay, so I'm just presenting a little different combination of notes there. But I know, I'm able to look at my guitar neck and I'm able to go, okay, I know where all of my G major triad notes are. I know every place that I can find a G, a B, or a D. G, B, D, G, B, B, D, G. And of course we could go all the way up the neck and figure out different places to find those notes. But all we're worried about is down here. Now let's do the same thing with our C chord. Okay, so here's our typical C chord that we might play. And it is presenting to you the 3 major triad notes of a C chord, which is C, the root, E, and G. So we have C, E, G, C, E. Well, where else can we get some C triad notes? Well, we could come down here and there's an E note on the low E string, right? We could play that 3rd fret down there. It's a G note. Here on the tab, I just mentioned a couple others. One is the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Some of you might play a C chord like that. So we're just, instead of playing an E note there on the top, we're going to make it a G note. Okay? But then it's also important to know that we can find these same notes at other places down here. For example, this C note here that we found on the 1st fret of the B string, I can find it on the 5th fret of the G string. That way, if I want to get this note, as we find harmony, and I can't get there, I can grab it here. In the same way, there's an E string. Where else could I get that? Well, I can get it on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. In the same way. So these two notes here are the same notes as these two. Okay? Those are the kind of things that we need to know as guitar players. In the same way, a D7 chord. Okay, so there's actually 4 notes that we're presenting with a D7 chord. There's the 1, 3, and 5, and then you have the flat 7. So a D, an F sharp, an A, and then a C natural. So here, whenever we play a D7 chord, we have D. The next note we play is A, that's C natural, and then an F sharp. But we also need to know that if we did play this D note here on the 3rd fret, that's part of a D7 chord. It's just usually we play this C note here to make it sound like a D7 chord. It's good to know that we could use that. Okay? And then it's also good to know that this C note here that we got on the 1st fret, as we just found out, we could come and find on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. Okay? So technically I could play a D7 chord like that. I get a C note here, a D note here, F sharp up here. Okay, that's how we get our different chord shapes and inversions. Okay, so now that we know all of that, and hopefully we know how to find for the G chord every G, B, and D down here, for the C chord every C, E, and G down here, and for the D chord every D, F sharp, and A, and also those C notes for the D7. Now that we know all that, let's just tackle a very simple melody, and then I'll show you how to put these harmony notes with the simple melody and how we find them using the knowledge that we just talked about.